The following episode of the Hop Nation USA podcast is brought to you by Tavour. Tavour, a craft beer delivery service that makes it so easy to get a new world-class beer delivered right to your door. This Seattle-based company works with the best independent breweries around the world. Seriously, with Tavour, the ability to choose the beer is the best part. Download their iPhone or Android app today and try it out. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children over the age of 21, welcome to the Hop Nation USA podcast. We are here gathered today for episode 37. I am your host, Sam. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Adam and Steve. Now, guys.
Yes?
How are you today?
I'm pretty fine and dandy.
Now, see, I did something different in the intro today.
How's that?
Right?
You did?
Before we got into any discussion, I actually told our audience who the co-hosts were, right? Normally I say, I'm Sam, and then we chat for a little bit, and then I don't even think last year I introduced you guys, really.
Well, no, you eventually got to it.
Did I eventually get to it?
We were able to chime in.
Well, this week I wanted to make sure the audience knew that I was here with both of you guys, as opposed to, all the other podcasts I do with other people. So I just got to keep it straight. I mean, I average 2 to 3 per day, so.
Right. Got to keep that branding. Got to keep everybody's episode could be a new episode, or what is it? Everybody's first episode could be something.
Everybody's first episode is their first impression of this show.
Fool me once.
So we got to make sure they're always good. For those that are tuning in for the first time, this is a show about beer. We like to drink beer. We like to talk about beer, and we also like to drink beer. I don't know if I said that already, but if not, we like to drink beer on this show.
We do like to drink beer.
Yes.
And you know what we're going to do today on this show?
I hope drink beer.
We're going to drink beer. And we're not going to just drink beer. Well, we are drinking beer, and we're going to talk about beer. But we're going to drink my absolute all-time favorite style of beer.
This is a Sam episode.
This is a Sam
heavy episode.
It's a Sam heavy episode, so that's why I'm actually glad that I'm here this week again to, be part of it and drink beers that I thoroughly enjoy. So,
Sam, admittedly, I wouldn't do this episode if you weren't here, because I wouldn't torture myself like this.
Yeah, exactly, because that would just mean more of this beer that you would have to drink.
Yeah, and homie, don't play that.
Yeah. Now the audience would probably expect, me to be introducing the theme of this episode because, well, it's my favorite style of beer. But we're going to throw them all a curveball and turn it over to Adam, which it's probably his least favorite style of beer. So what the hell? We'll let him have the glory of giving the introduction.
It is. However, I am going to come into this with an open mind.
Okay.
This is our IPA episode. And not only that, West Coast IPAs.
I think maybe we should be clear that it's IPAs from the West Coast, but not West Coast IPAs.
That is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
The 3 beers that we are trying tonight actually follow along the Pacific Crest Trail.
That's right.
Which is the West Coast version of the Appalachian Trail.
Nice.
Yes. So I have a couple of tidbits for that.
Ooh.
If you are interested.
Ooh.
Not right now because we got beers to drink.
Okay.
Yeah, let's wait till we're drinking to give everybody all the facts and figures.
Not all the facts and figures.
Just some facts.
A few facts and figures. Okay, well, all the facts and figures that you have on that paper in front of you. I have a feeling they're going to get all these nuggets
Just
at least.
Nuggets, yes.
I'm hoping for some good hop nuggets.
So we
in
are
my
going.
glass.
We are going to start down south.
Uh-huh.
We're going to start in old California.
California.
California. We are going to be drinking the Crown Pleaser
Okay.
Juicy IPA. It is a limited release from Wildcard Brewing. We got this from our friends at Tavour. This clocks in at 7.1% ABV. Yes. Now here's something that's interesting, which is quite nice for me.
Yeah.
The IBUs.
Okay. What are you looking at?
A number that I like.
Well, what is it? Asshole.
Well, it's one squiggle, and then it's another squiggle, and then those squiggles represent amounts. And that amount is 25 IBUs.
That's not too bad.
No, that's not very hoppy.
Well, this is a juicy IPA, so I think that is somewhat appropriate.
Yeah, which is why I kind of corrected you about saying it's a West Coast IPA, because West Coast style isn't usually juicy.
Correct.
I'm expecting juicy and hazy, like a New England style.
I would expect a lot of haze on this one as well.
Yeah.
So let us crack this open and let's find out.
So while Adam's pouring the beer, since this is an IPA episode, for those that might be new to the Hop Nation Hop Nation USA podcast, IBU stands for International Bittering Unit and is a measurement of how bitter the beer is going to taste. So the higher IBU, the more bitterness you're going to get. The lower IBU, the smoother and less bitter it will be. So just a little tidbit of information for those that may have not heard us mention that before.
It's also usually an indicator of how much hops are in the brewing process that are used in the brewing process.
And with this particular one, we get hops from both America and New Zealand.
Okay.
Excellent.
I have no idea what kind.
Okay.
I just know that they're from America and New Zealand.
All right.
So hopefully the Kiwis know what they're doing.
It's actually on the can here, Haas.
Nah, it's not. You're lying.
No, the Citra Amarillo and the one from New Zealand would be the Moteca.
No, never heard of them.
Moteca? Moteca.
No, what was that first one you said?
Citra and
Citra.
Amarillo.
Which I'm sure you've heard of.
Citra. No, never heard of it. Sorry. I got nothing.
All right, so we got this beer here, and it is looking like it needs to be drank. But first, the color, the look,
Well,
feel.
it's got that hazy straw like I was expecting.
Damn it.
It definitely does, and it has some good head retention, but I will say, and we'll get into this later in the show, it's not nearly as hazy as one of the more popular styles these days, the New England style IPA.
No, it actually isn't as orange. It doesn't look like orange juice.
Right.
So I was upset at you, Steve, because you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
That's
Hazy straw.
That's
all
exactly
it is.
what I was going to go for. So I guess that you could consider that a pretty apt description if you and I both had that in our heads.
Yeah.
Head, nice, fluffy white.
Yeah.
Sticks around for a little bit.
Almost like a Hefeweizen.
A little bit. It doesn't have that big cloud head to it.
No.
But it is a nice white head. Sticks around a little bit. What do you think on the smell? Sam, I'm going to go to you on this one.
I mean, you can definitely smell the citra hops, that's for sure. I'm getting some grapefruit notes, for sure. It smells juicy and fruity, and it smells like a damn fine IPA, in my opinion.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, the only one true way to find out.
No, I like that.
Now, that is flavorful. The immediate thing that was rushing through my head as I took my first sip is wondering how bitter the beer was going to be, because at 25 IBUs, that's not that typical of an IPA. Usually they're up around 50 or 60, and
right.
You can definitely taste this is much calmer than many of the IPAs, especially a lot of the IPAs that I like to drink.
Yeah, definitely a lot calmer. It's I wouldn't say smooth, but it is a easy drinker, and I can definitely see myself having a lot of these. This is more of a summertime thing, but I really like it.
And you can taste the hops in here for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
They are there.
This
So-
seems
And they
like-
stick around too.
Being this is called the crowd pleaser, and Sam and I obviously already like this, I think it's time now to go to Adam and find out, does this really please the entire crowd?
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Wow, what a shocker.
Oh,
Oh, my
Well,
God.
I will say this. This is definitely what I would consider a gateway IPA.
Okay.
Or a gateway PA.
Yeah.
You definitely get the notes of an IPA. It leads you into it, but it doesn't punch you in the mouth like I've had with other IPAs. It just, my general disdain has led me to not particularly like this beer.
Yeah.
However, with my open mind, if I'm going in looking at just the style, yeah, I got no problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm staying in that silo of IPAs, not bad.
Okay.
Not bad at all.
Fair enough.
I would say, in terms of all of the IPAs that I've drank, I would certainly rank this in the top half of them. I mean, this reminds me a lot of the Founders All Day IPA. Mm-hmm. It's juicy. You can taste the hops. It's not overpowering. Now, that one is a session IPA, so it's much lower in ABV, but I can't taste any booziness in here.
Which is what I really like about this one. It's a little bit bigger, being that it's 7%, but it's so easy drinking.
I could definitely see where somebody could get in trouble with this beer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This one...
If somebody is a hop head, I could definitely see somebody crushing a couple of these.
Yeah. So we'll probably talk about this more in segment 2, but I just want to get it out there. I'm pretty sure that this one probably takes advantage of using lupulin in the process of making this beer. That's why it comes out hazy. And Citra and Amarillo are 2 of the hops that are currently being used mostly in lupulin powder production. So I think that's probably playing heavy into this one, which is why it doesn't have such high IBUs.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
That's
All
what
right,
that's what I was trying to get to. It's
Okay. All right.
Lupulin provides a lot of aroma and flavor without putting the bitterness up there, which this one does really well.
So I know we're getting into it more later, but you got to tell the crowd, you got to tell the audience now, what is lupulin?
So if you ever looked at a hop, though, the hop by itself as a cone, it can be opened up and you can pull the petals back on the flower and everything, and you can see like a little yellow resin. Lupulin is the concentrated version of that resin.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's usually where all of the flavor and aroma comes from hops. It's being separated from the cone and just used by itself as a powder. So it's removing all the vegetation and everything.
Interesting.
Normally, as home brewers, we get the green pellets and everything, and like those are just crushed up hops.
Right.
And it still has vegetation to it.
And the lupulin's in there.
The lupulin's in there, but they're coming around to the point where that you can get just plain lupulin powder or lupulin pellet.
So if all the lupulin is being used in the craft beer, who's running the chocolate factory?
It's not Oompa Loompa. You asshole.
Wow. Wow. It's interesting. You see, we're starting to see a lot of beers too that have been brewed with lupulin powder. Notice how I said we weren't going to get into this, and now we're totally getting into it. But that's okay. That's what this show's about. Just kind of going with the flow. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
Might as well talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, it's becoming more prevalent, and especially for IPAs, and especially for flavoring, and especially in the New England IPAs, because it comes in a powder form. It doesn't have to be filtered out. That's why you see these dank IPAs that look like orange juice, because it's just unfiltered lupulin.
I love the word dank. I think that's a great way to describe a beer, but I feel like it's now almost being overused in the beer community.
It totally is.
You see that at every craft brewery you go to. They all describe their IPAs as dank. It's like, well, hold on a second. Like, they can't all be dank.
If everything is dank, then nothing is dank.
Then nothing is dank.
I liked the Gristhouse Make America Dank Again. Now, that was a dank beer. That was a double IPA.
That was a dank beer.
And I don't know if you had it, Adam, but you would hate it.
That is correct.
Yeah, you would have hated that one.
So
and not just because you're a Hillary supporter, but because you don't like IPAs.
I did vote for it. We're not going to get into that conversation.
No politics on this show.
That's right.
That was for a simple chuckle. I have no idea who you voted for.
Simple chuckles, move it on.
That's right. Arrogant bastard wants your t-shirt.
Wants what? What?
Arrogant bastard wants your t-shirt.
My t-shirt?
Yes.
What, the one I'm wearing now?
No.
I was going to say, that's an old English hoodie.
Yeah, I'm wearing an old English hoodie.
Ain't nobody want that.
I wanted it. It's mine.
That eventually is going to have to be put in a nice big frame.
Oh, yeah.
Signed.
By who?
I don't care.
By me.
I mean, one day it's going to be famous.
There may only be one of these in production, and it might be mine.
And then you'll be the naked and famous once you give that up.
Hooray.
Music joke, I think.
I think I got it.
Maybe? Possibly.
So, Arrogant Brewing.
Yeah.
Out of
Arrogant Bastard.
Right.
Well, Stone.
Stone.
No. They are a spin-off of Stone.
Oh, okay.
They spun off in 2015.
Oh.
There's a spin-off called Arrogant Brewing.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Don't worry, I had a little confusion myself when I was reading this article.
Oh, okay.
But they have recently started a program where if you have a t-shirt from any of the breweries that have been taken over by AB InBev or Heineken or any of the big bastards,
Yeah.
you send it to them, they'll send you a free t-shirt.
Oh.
Are you kidding me?
I would never do such a thing, Sam.
Okay.
We're not about jokes on this podcast.
First off, the first thing that went to my head is, we've all been to those bars where you see the Bud Light girls, and they're giving out those shitty, extra-large Bud Light t-shirts that you pretty much just use to dust your house or clean your car.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a bunch of those, and they're all going to Stone. Or no, not to Stone, excuse me, Arrogant. And I'm going to get a bunch of free swag.
See, I don't think that's the way it's supposed to work.
But that's what just played out in my mind.
I know that's what
I can get all of this for free, Adam.
But
all free.
What they're doing is, if you have a t-shirt from one of the breweries that has been, how do I want to put this, enveloped or
bought out.
Bought out?
Just
Yeah.
bought out.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get fancy.
No, don't get fancy. Just say if you have a fucking Goose Island T-shirt that you
Exactly.
don't want anymore.
Goose Island, Devil's Backbone.
Yeah.
Elysian. Any of those that have been bought out by AB and Bev. You don't want to support them anymore.
Right.
Send that T-shirt to California. They'll send you one back of an actual craft brewery. And what they're going to do is one of two things.
Okay.
They're either going to donate them all to charity,
Okay.
or they're going to collect them all and then send them to AB and Bev in one giant box.
I say charity.
I'm okay with charity.
I say the latter. Let's just send all these shirts back and be like, we don't want these.
Take these back.
Let AB and Bev give them to charity.
You
funny.
deal with this.
Yeah.
That's the old Mitch Hedberg joke. Here, you throw this away.
Not that I don't support charity. I donated actually 2 large garbage bags of clothes last night to Goodwill. So
Oh, nice.
I did my charity for the year.
I'm glad you finished that with of clothes and not just 2 garbage bags to charity.
It's like, I really need these for my garbage cans, but I
Here's some
suppose
eggshells.
I can spare 2 garbage bags for Goodwill.
You guys take pizza boxes?
With crust.
I gave them my garbage bags. The garbage bags were also full of garbage. It's like, yeah, you root through these.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't think there's anything good left in here.
There's something good in here, gotta be. Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
So if y'all got T-shirts you need to get rid of,
Yeah.
do it to it.
Arrogant Brewing.
I have a Goose Island shirt and a Goose Island hoodie from Migration Week last year. And I don't even care that they're owned by AB and Bev. The shirts are too awesome to get rid of, so
Okay,
they're sticking with me.
I'm just telling you, you have that option.
Yeah, there's some I would probably get rid of, but some I wouldn't. I think if I had any Devil's Backbone stuff, it'd definitely be out the house.
Yeah, I'd get rid of that.
Do you mean the Vienna Lager,
Yes.
Vienna
Yeah,
Lager?
I've never been.
After the Vienna Lager. I don't want any of their shit.
I've never had anything I was impressed by them. So I've never had anything that I was impressed by them with.
However,
I had something this week that is absolutely goddamn awful.
see, you're cursing on this show.
I am cursing.
Don't you cuss on this radio.
I use the cussing words. No FCC over here, yo.
Sam, just so you know, that was a Smokey and the Bandit reference.
Oh, please. I've never seen that movie.
How have you never seen Smokey and the Bandit?
So I appreciate
No, I totally get that you would never have seen
I
Smokey and the
appreciate
Bandit.
you explaining that to me because I never would have got it.
How that is sad that you've never seen Smokey and the Bandit.
It's sad that I haven't seen a lot of things, but that's another podcast. It's movies Sam hasn't seen
Yeah.
podcast.
We got thousands of episodes there.
Yeah, you do that on your own. I don't want to be.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to all the movies that I've already seen that you
Yeah.
haven't.
It's going to be raw and unedited. I'm going to record just a podcast on my iPhone and just upload it to iTunes.
That's fine.
I need the Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper. I'm in a goddamn hurry.
Fuck, I love that line. I'm in a goddamn hurry. But anyway, back
So
to
why are you mad? Why are
so
you
what
mad
I was
for?
mad about though.
Yeah. Back to why Steve was mad.
I ran into a situation where fool me once, shame on you, and you can't fool me again. There is a brewery in Ohio,
Okay.
and they're called the Wild Ohio Brewery, and they brew gluten-free beer tea. It's really kombucha.
That sounds like they're trying too hard.
They definitely are.
Okay. All right.
So
Where are they out of? Do you have any idea?
Ohio.
they're actually out of Columbus, Ohio, and they brew out of the Four Strings Brewing Facility.
Okay.
What they brew is just total shit. So the first one I saw, like we've talked before on this show about Oryx Brewing, and down in Emsworth,
Yes.
Swickley, in that area.
On 65.
Yeah, however you want to call it.
For those in the know.
But Oryx is a gluten-free specialty brewing facility, and they brew good beer.
Yes. Yes.
So I saw this Wild Ohio a couple months ago, and it was a cranberry, and I just wanted to give it a try to see, test it out. And it was probably one of the worst things I've ever drank.
Now, well, that's saying something.
It is. It is literally one of the worst things I ever drank.
I've seen you drink malt duck.
Yeah. Well, I drank malt duck. Malt duck's weird.
It is weird.
This is just awful. Malt duck is weird. This is just awful. And it tasted like watered down Franzia.
Ugh.
That's what it tasted like. And I just figured maybe it was because I'm not a big fan of cranberries to begin with. I just figured, okay, maybe this is a wash. So earlier this week, I found another one by them and it was a bourbon cherry.
Now that sounds really good.
Exactly. That sounds.
I'll give these guys another try.
Exactly. I've given Evil Twin chance after chance after chance.
And they still stay on the table somehow.
Somehow. They got one, but I figured one could just be bad because I don't like cranberry. So I'm going to try something. Bourbon and cherry, those are two flavors I really enjoy, especially outside of the craft beer world.
Right.
I love bourbon and cherry things. I give this a shot. It's the same goddamn watered-down Franzia.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Same product, different name.
Like there was no ABV on the can, which is like that tells me that they're either trying to hide that it's like 2% or whatever. But I looked it up on Untapped. Apparently, it's like 9%.
What the hell?
But I didn't feel any of that. I felt not buzzed at all.
I feel like that's a lie. That's got to be a misprint. Maybe somebody just made that up because they couldn't find out what it actually was.
It very well could be.
I mean, you drink a 9% beer, you're not going to be drunk, but you're gonna start getting a little
feel it.
toasty. You're going to feel
Yeah.
it for sure.
Right.
It's just how our bodies work.
I didn't feel shit. This was just watered down box wine. It was awful. Like, it doesn't taste like tea. It doesn't taste like beer.
Just disappointment. It sounds like.
It didn't taste like bourbon or cherry. It just tasted awful.
Sorry, dude.
This is a warning to anybody in the Wild, Ohio distribution area.
Don't.
Go to Oryx.
Yeah, exactly.
Oryx makes actually good beer. I've yet to find a good replacement, or well, not a replacement per se, but a good, just kind of contemporary.
Right.
You know,
They have no equal right now.
they have no equal, but they also, I can't get them in bottles and cans.
You can.
You can get them in bottle. They bottle.
Oryx
do?
now bottles, yes.
Are they distributed anywhere?
House of Brews.
Oh,
Yeah,
House of
you
Brews.
can find them around. They're at Bellevue Beer, too.
Okay. See, I just haven't yet to see them, but I see this Wild Ohio stuff all the time.
See, that's weird because I've never seen Wild Ohio.
Well, it's in Ohio.
No.
You got to go to Ohio to get it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of breweries in Ohio that
I know there's a lot of
you
breweries.
can get here, so that wasn't
Yeah.
really that out of the question. I'm just saying, I've shopped in Ohio many times for beer. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing it. But I don't like kombucha. I don't like tea beers. I like beer that is meant to be beer.
Well, see, here, that's the other thing. The cans always say beer tea. So it doesn't say kombucha. It says beer tea. So I'm thinking it's something else than kombucha. And I obviously so the cranberry one I did pick up said it was 5%. And I was like, oh, that's way higher than kombucha. But it was also shit, so. But then they're saying this one's 9%, and that's way, way higher than most kombuchas, which are like 2 to 4%. So I just don't know what you're supposed to get out of this drinking experience, though.
What's the point?
What's the point? Like, just drink box wine. It's way higher in ABV. You'll definitely feel it.
And probably cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and definitely cheaper.
Yeah.
You'll feel it that night and once again in the morning and probably the rest of the second day.
So what do you guys think of this beer? The Crowd Pleaser, the Juicy IPA by Wildcard Brewing out of Redding, California. Not Reading, Pennsylvania. There's two Ds.
This is REDD, not READ.
Correct.
Ah,
Reading,
okay.
California.
California.
What do you guys think? Sam, what are your thoughts on this beer? I know you're kind of the guy on this one.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts on this beer, and I want to preface this by saying I probably, of the three of us, consistently drink the most IPA. It's my go-to beer at a bar, and I'm always looking for something I haven't had. And I've had good IPAs, I've had bad IPAs, so I feel like I've really drank the spectrum, and so I have a good handle on, if an IPA is actually worth drinking and worthy of my recommendation, let's say that. Not to sound too snooty there, but, I feel like this is really my episode, so I have to embrace it.
Of the three of us, I will bestow that, if you're giving an IPA the seal of approval, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's also a good sign if Adam gives an IPA the seal of approval because
That
he
might
hates
be a better sign.
Right.
If I say something about an IPA, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you like IPAs.
Well, that's the thing. I like them, but I don't love them like you do.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't hate them like Adam does. So
Yeah,
it doesn't
right
matter
in the
what I
middle.
say.
So, what do you have to say, Sam?
I mean, look, the more I drink this, the honestly, the better it gets. This is a smooth, slightly bitter, hop prevalent IPA. And to me, that means I could drink a number of these cans. This is enjoyable. It's flavorful. And to me, this is a refreshing IPA. There are IPAs that I enjoy that are so hop forward that I can really only have one or two of them, and I could really not have them with a meal or food because it wouldn't pair nicely. But this, I could sit down with pretty much any food I can think of right now. Enjoy this beer. Great flavor, great hop profile. I really like this. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, it's definitely in the top half of the IPAs I've ever drank. So kudos to Wildcard Brewing from Redding, California. I've never heard of you, and I have no idea where Redding is, but what the hell, you brew good beer. So maybe I'll make a stop out there someday.
I think it's in the middle of the state.
Might
Sure.
be.
No, I'm serious.
Sure.
I believe it's in the middle
Okay.
of the state.
Sure. I'll believe you on that one.
Okay.
So I'll go just because my opinion doesn't matter that much compared to the other two. But because I'm just going to agree with what Sam said. Like it's a smooth, easy drinker, and like Sam said, you don't even have to pair it with a meal. This one is, like you said, it's kind of like the Founders All Day IPA that you can just drink a bunch of on its own, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And like that's how I feel like I would approach this one. I could definitely see taking this to a tailgate if I had a sixer.
One thing that I will say, and I actually just drank a bunch of these on Friday night, a beer that, if you're listening to the show and you're in the Pittsburgh area, you can't get this beer. Like we said, we got it from our friends at Tavor. But try the Hazeldelic Juice Grenade. It's an IPA from Gristhouse Brewing, and it tastes incredibly similar to this beer. It's juicy, it's slightly hazy, it's got a great hop flavor, but it's not overpowering. So if you're looking for something comparable in this area, try the Hazeldelic Juice Grenade from Gristhouse. You will not be disappointed. And you can also get that now in 16-ounce cans.
So I guess you could get the crowd pleaser off Tavor and then compare it to the Juice Grenade.
You could do that, absolutely.
If you're in Pittsburgh. If you're outside of Pittsburgh, you can't get the Juice Grenade.
Tough nuts.
Tough nuts. All right, Adam.
Okay.
Thoughts? Final thoughts?
I was wrong.
Yeah?
I was wrong.
You started to enjoy this more?
No, Redding is in Northern California.
Good one.
It ain't bad. It ain't bad. If I'm able to understand that, yes, this is an IPA and I stay in the IPA lane, it ain't bad.
Okay.
It ain't bad. If I had to drink an IPA, I wouldn't have a problem drinking this one.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's good enough.
With that in mind, I think that is high praise in and of itself.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, given some of the IPAs you've shitted on during the show.
Yeah.
I want to get to break as quickly as possible right now because
You got to go take a pee.
well, no, I don't have to pee, but look, when we come back for segment 2 and the next segment, we're drinking another IPA, so it's going to be great.
About 15 Dr. Peppers. That was Forrest Gump, by the way.
That I know.
right,
Dude,
that
that's
one
from
he
the,
got.
That's from the 90s, man. I've
That
seen
one
all
he
the
got.
90s movies. All right, so anyhow, we'll take a break. We're coming back with more IPAs. We're working our way up the West Coast, and we'll try something, I believe, from Oregon next, so stay tuned. It's something new for all of us. Hey everyone, check this out. There's a Seattle-based company called Tavor that enables the discovery of new and exciting beers and breweries. Tavor gets the best independent beer from literally all around the world, such as Denmark, New Zealand, Belgium, and of course, everywhere in the US. The app is incredibly simple to use, and you get some ridiculously good beers delivered right to your door. Hop, 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 hop! Here comes the Easter Bunny, gentlemen, and he is here with his basket of goodies, but no eggs for us in November.
We have not even gotten to Christmas.
What are you-
Instead,
What are you doing?
instead, he has a big 16.9 ounce fresh hopped IPA for us to enjoy. I don't know why or how he got in here, because your front door is not open and you don't have a chimney.
Is that
But
what
the Easter Bunny has just delivered this beer for us, hopping along.
is that what he does in his off season? He delivers hoppy beers.
Yes.
So
He's the beer bunny more than the Easter Bunny.
So did you just sort of start working for like Grubhub, but for hoppy beers?
Seamless Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Brew Bunny is what they call him.
The Brew Bunny.
Actually, that's his app. You can download that. Brew Bunny.
Brew Bunny, but it's spelled BRUBNNY.
Brewbany?
Yeah, Brew Bunny.
Brewbany? Patent pending.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Burberry.
Burberry.
Burberry, Beer Bunny.
Or Blueberry, the podcast hosting service. That's what happens when you start taking vowels out. Everything is confusing.
Hey,
I don't even know what this app is anymore.
all right, what this Beer Bunny bring us?
So, what has been brought to us by the Brew Bunny, also known as Tavor, is a fresh hop IPA from Double Mountain known as the Killer Lion. And it's got a sweet psychedelic label here.
That is a pretty sweet looking label.
It is a sweet looking label.
It's quite psychedelic. You would think that would be from Colorado.
Right. You would think. But I mean, Oregon's legalized too, so it's cool.
True.
But I think as much as Adam likes this label, he's going to hate the beer.
Yeah, probably.
Because it is a 7.8% alcohol, which, I mean, you don't hate that, but it is 82 IBUs.
That is
So about
stupid.
four times as many as the last one.
Yes. And we are looking at Citra and Mosaic hops. Fresh.
So where does this beer come out of?
It is coming from the Double Mountain Brewery out of Hood River, Oregon.
Hood River, Oregon.
And that's like middle of the state, east of Portland.
All right. So that is the second of 3 states along the Pacific Crest Trail.
Yeah.
We are working our way up the coast. Soon we're going to be in Canada.
Did you know that the Pacific Crest Trail goes 2,659 miles from the Mexican-American border
Yeah, we knew that. Pour the beer.
to the American-Canadian border in British Columbia?
How about that?
There you go. Did you also know that it is almost the last fact that I have about the Pacific Crest Trail?
That's fine. You keep citing them off as I pour the beer.
I got one more. Okay, I got one more for you. The Pacific Crest Trail was started and developed in the 1960s, but it was not fully completed until 1993.
Oh, that's weird. It's not even like a Spanish mission type thing.
Right. Well, I believe what it was is there were a bunch of trails that kind of interconnected.
Yeah.
And then they were finally able to bridge the gap on all these little trails to finally go from Mexico to Canada.
So this is kind of like a callback to episode 8 when we were talking about that the one trail that runs between those 3 breweries that brewed the Unreal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that part of that?
I have no idea.
Okay. So look that up.
You think I'm actually going to do that kind of research?
Gotta make the episodes connect.
Continuity, man.
Continuity.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's
So
look at this
until,
some bitch.
until I
was
say
gonna say.
otherwise, yes.
Let's look at this some bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Clear.
Yes. Now this is a much more clear beer.
This is borderline VFW beer.
This is more
a little darker.
golden
It is.
in color, though, like a golden orange
Yeah.
hue to it.
Now, that is why I would consider it a borderline VFW beer. It's certainly not, a light beer, but if it was sitting on the bar, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find the Killer Lion Fresh Hop IPA in a VFW.
Yeah. It's a bit darker. Head retention's pretty good.
It's phasing away.
Yeah, phasing way. Pretty good though.
Now, the smell on this is not as strong.
No, it really isn't.
You can smell the hops. I could smell almost...
They're there.
They're there.
Yeah.
They're
But
there.
the last one, the Citra hops were like popping out of the top of this glass. Whereas
Yeah.
this one, you kind of had to take a longer, slower sniff to get them.
Pop, pop.
At least I did.
And again, maybe it's more that there's more mosaic hops in this one.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, and again, as we were talking about in the segment 1, lupulin lends itself a lot to aroma, and maybe because it says right on the bottle, the Killer Lion is brewed with fresh hop leaf, so maybe that's why we're not getting as much on the aroma. But let's see what we get on
That's
the taste.
possible, yeah. Let's dive in.
Let's go.
That's pretty good.
This is interesting to me. Because although I like the taste, I'm almost getting a more malty flavor on the back end. I almost feel as if this beer is less hoppy than the last one, even though the IBUs are, what did we say, 3-4 times as high.
I don't know. I'm getting a lot more of a bitter back end.
As am I. And that's my complaint, because originally I was a little bit kind of surprised on the amount of maltiness that is involved in this beer.
Yeah.
And then the bitterness showed up.
Yeah, it is way malty up front.
It is. And the bitterness just pops in about halfway through.
Yeah.
And then it overtakes.
That's the way it's going for me.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that's not a bad thing for me, but
Right. It's like it just kicked the maltiness out of the wheelhouse and said, I'm in charge now.
right.
This almost tastes more like an ESB, an English style bitter, than it does an IPA to me.
Yeah, the hoppiness is fresh, but it definitely has that more malty bitterness.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of malts on the background. I don't know if maybe my glass is different than yours. Maybe it's stuck a little bread in here or something.
Well, I mean, it is an unfiltered IPA as well, so I don't know. Maybe it changed a little bit.
See, that's weird though that it would be unfiltered, because you look at this beer and it's incredibly clear.
Maybe
an
it isn't that
unfiltered
good at
beer.
it.
I mean, they're gonna be...
I'm expecting a whole bunch of shit at the bottom of this bottle, but we'll see. All right, so I mean, we're talking IPAs, so I guess maybe we should get more into what IPA really is.
Okay.
And I think we can start with what IPA stands for. Like,
Yeah.
it's something general knowledge, but I think we can get into what it stands for. So IPA is the International Phonetic Alphabet. And it's what you find in dictionaries that will provide, like, the pronunciation of words. It was created by French and English linguists back in the 19th century, and it was based off the Latin alphabet to provide... What, is something wrong?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's the wrong one.
This is the wrong one?
That's the one nobody cares about.
That's the wrong one. This is the wrong podcast.
See,
What? No, you horse's ass.
I think we should all stop doing so many podcasts. We all have so many podcasts, we cannot keep anything straight. Now, here we are trying to talk about IPAs, and you're bringing up the alphabet.
That was for my other podcast, Grammartown USA.
Ah,
Damn it.
So,
Take me to Grammartown.
IPA actually stands for stupid.
No, that's wrong too.
India Pale Ale.
That's from the podcast called Adam's Head.
Starring me.
Stupid.
That one's not on iTunes because nobody would listen.
Okay,
Well,
so-
maybe some people.
It's in my tunes.
All right, Sam.
iTunes.
Sam, being that you're the IPA guy, why don't you tell us what IPA really stands for?
All right, it stands for India Pale Ale, and these beers, as we know, generally have a very large hop profile. They tend to be more bitter. They tend to be brewed with a larger dose of hops. And what's nice about the IPA is that you can have so many different flavors of IPA and so many different styles based on the hops that you use. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the IPA and some of the different styles, some of the different terms that you might hear when someone describes what an IPA is. So we're going to skip over all the history of the IPA and how it came to be.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want this to turn into a history lesson. I just want people to be aware of when they go to a bar and they say, all right, here's a West Coast IPA versus an East Coast IPA versus a double IPA versus a session IPA. I want you to become familiar with all this terminology and what it means, so that way if you order one of those styles of beer, you'll know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, IPAs are getting pretty damn crazy with all their little tags and silliness. Like, you don't see that with a whole lot of other styles. You don't see lagers getting too crazy with that. You don't see stouts. Usually, if there's something attached to a stout, it's just like an ingredient.
Correct.
Like chocolate stout or mint stout. It's not West Coast.
West
Coast
versus
West
East
Coast. West Coast unfiltered stout. Triple Belgian stout.
Just like me, a regular ass stout.
All right, so first we're going to drop the West Coast IPA, because this is really the first one to really be prevalent in the U.S. And this was invented in, surprise, surprise, California. A state on the West Coast. And this style of IPA really takes its inspiration from, some of the traditional British IPAs, mixing that with hops that were grown right here in America. Oh. And an easy way to remember the West Coast style is by the big C. Right, so there's a lot of hops that start with C, and California brews with the majority of them. So some of the big ones that we've talked about on the show and that you'll hear quite frequently in the home brewing world, Citra hops, which have been in both of the beers we're drinking here today. Cascade hops, Chinook hops, those are the ones that Adam really hates because they taste like pine cones.
Very much so, yes.
But what this is going to do is this is going to give a very large citrus aroma to the beer. It's going to, taste citrusy. You're going to get those notes of grapefruit, of orange. And, it's not going to be as dry as like an ESB, the English style bitter that I mentioned. It's not going to be as dry as something you might get on the East Coast. But they are going to be somewhat bitter. So around, 60 to 80 IBUs is pretty normal. That's what they're generally brewed with. So I was actually very surprised when we saw that first beer had only 25 IBUs, because that's very uncharacteristic of the West Coast IPA.
Right.
But with the big citra hop profile that it was bringing with it, it did taste like, what you would expect.
Yeah, and most of the hops you already listed off, and all the ones that have the big C are usually high alpha, which is what lends to all that bitterness.
Absolutely. So we have the West Coast IPAs. Now we're going to travel all the way across the country, and we're going to go into the East Coast IPAs. The big difference between the West Coast and the East Coast IPAs, where you might think it's different hops, and A lot of times it might be, but the thing is, the real difference is the yeast, okay? In California and on the West Coast, these brewers are generally using a more flavorless yeast because they want the beer to really pull out some of those hop aromas and some of those flavors. Where on the East Coast, they're using a more, let's say, complicated strain of yeast, and that's going to produce different smells, different flavors, and that's around how the yeast actually ferments the sugar. And what you're going to get out of an East Coast IPA is something a little less harsh, I want to say. You're going to taste some more fruits, more bananas, more tropical notes, and the beers are generally going to be a little less bitter. And a subset, as I mentioned earlier on the show, of a beer that's actually really popular right now is a New England style IPA. And, these beers are very cloudy. They're very flavorful because they're generally unfiltered and incredibly hazy. So, I think, Adam, when you're thinking about beers, the ones that you really hate, the West Coast IPA, those are the beers that are going to be citrusy, going to be incredibly hoppy, going to be piney, some of those flavors that you don't generally like, whereas an East Coast might be a little bit more tame. Now, that being said, there's plenty of beers out here that I'm sure you don't like as well, but I think you would be more receptive to an East Coast. That sounds a little bit closer to the styles you enjoy than something all the way out on the West Coast, which is all the beers we're drinking on the show today.
So if there was a particular IPA sub-style of beer to try to get somebody into the IPA genre, what sub-style would you use? What would you recommend?
That is a great question.
That's why I asked.
What would I recommend?
What would be your gateway PA?
Well, I mean, for me, I definitely wouldn't. I don't think I would jump to a West Coast IPA. Like, those are usually pretty big and pretty hoppy. And when you're thinking of those kind of beers, like the first two breweries that pop to mind for me for West Coast IPAs are Green Flash.
Yeah.
They have the name West Coast IPA.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And Stone.
Those were the first two that I would think of,
those
too.
are the first two that popped to mind. And, I like them, but those are not for everybody.
They are not.
So you're probably going to think I'm completely off my rocker when I say this, but if you can find one, I would say that you should try a triple IPA.
Okay.
Now, when we say triple IPA, we generally think, all right, this is a big beer. It's about as hoppy as you could possibly get. But what I've found with the triple IPAs that I've drank in the past, that there's generally, they do have a hop flavor, but they're also very malty because they range between usually 12 and 15% ABV. So there's also a lot of malt in there as well, and they tend to turn out more like a Belgian style of ale, like a Belgian triple. And yeah, you're going to have some hop flavor. There's definitely a hop profile there, but you're also going to taste some of that, malty sweetness that's used to help the beer become, so high in alcohol.
Yeah, I think what's important to point out is when somebody says double IPA and triple IPA, it's much more what we talked about on a previous episode. I don't know if you were here for this one, Sam, but Adam and I had talked about how Belgians get the classification of double and triple and quad. And that's all about the grain bill, the size of the grain bill, and how much alcohol is the result of that grain bill. Double and triple IPA doesn't necessarily mean they're doubling and tripling the hops in the recipe.
Right.
They're doubling and tripling the grain bill so they can reach 7 and 8% for a double, or above 10 for a triple.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the flavors that you're getting necessarily aren't going to be just the hoppiest thing in the world. It's not going to be like chewing on a hop pellet, chewing on a pine cone. You're going to get a lot of other flavors into that beer. So I don't know. Triple IPAs are actually pretty challenging to find, but they offer a big, boozy, flavorful punch.
They do. Yeah, the one that comes off the mind right away, and I know it's the one you like too, is the Devil Dancer. The
Devil Dancer is good, but that one will kick you in the ass. So that's from Founders. It's a triple IPA. It comes out once a year. It's about $20 for a 4-pack, but it's 13, 14%.
Yeah,
and it is just, I don't know, big, boozy, and flavorful. That's the way I think about it. It kind of does taste like a Belgian to some degree.
A little bit, yeah. It's worth it, and it's really good. And I think that might be a good way to start with IPAs, like start at the top and kind of work your way down. You have the hop flavors there, and then you can start removing maltiness and booziness. You can remove complexity as you get down to like single hop, like this the Amarillos. You know, there's single hop Amarillos and single hop Citras and stuff. I think those are the really harsh entry points.
Right.
So, I mean, you can work your way down to that. But yeah, I think maybe try the Devil Dancer if it's around.
If I can find it.
And it's one of the few true triple IPAs. There's a lot of people saying triple IPA nowadays, but they don't actually reach the ABV that, you should.
Right.
So, yeah. Try that one out, maybe, Adam.
All right, I'll keep an eye out for it.
I mean, you like the Victory Dirt Wolf.
I do,
and that's
a
double
IPA.
That's a double IPA, so it's very similar in the same thinking.
Yep.
That it's not necessarily bigger on the hop profile, but
it's just a bigger beer in general.
Right.
Yep.
Everything else is catching up to the hops.
Correct.
So that's a good recommendation. Now, one more IPA that I do want to mention is the Session IPA.
Okay.
So the Session IPA is a great, when we thought about the triple IPA, that was kind of a gateway for you, someone that we know isn't obsessed with the hop flavor that some beers offer. But if you're not into the IPA style, one of my recommendations would be to try a Session IPA. Session IPAs are low in alcohol and high in flavor. So these IPAs are generally dry hopped to really get the maximum aroma, maximum flavor with a little less bitterness in the beers. So you're really tasting a lot of those hops. And most of them range between 4 and 5%. When you say a session beer, session IPA generally means less than 5% alcohol, ABV in the beer. So I like the session beers a lot because it really gives you an opportunity to taste the hops. Sometimes when you get into 7 or 8%, sure, you have a hoppy beer, but the alcohol and the malt starts to actually overtake that flavor. Whereas if you kind of scale that back and just focus on the hops themselves, you can actually have a damn good beer where you can actually taste the hops. And what I like about this is, there's so many hops out there today from not just, the United States, but all over the world that people are brewing with. And they all slightly alter the flavor, the complexion of the beer. And you can come up with some really great flavors depending on how you mix those together. So this type of beer will really give you an opportunity to see what type of hops you might like and which type of hops you won't.
Yeah, a good suggestion I would have for that one would be the Sweetwater Session IPA.
The 420?
Yeah. And that one, it also goes back to what I was talking about before about lupulin, because even though they don't use straight lupulin, they use what's called hop hash, which is very similar. Like they remove a lot of the the vegetation from the hop, and they kind of compress it down into a powder. And the powder can also be compressed further into like a hash brick.
All right.
Yeah. But I mean, that's how they brew their session IPA. And again, that's how they bring out a lot more just flavor and aroma without, getting the bitterness in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. My recommendation would be, obviously, I mean, if you've never had a session IPA, try the Founders All Day IPA.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a staple in the session IPA community. It's great. You can buy it relatively cheap. The one I really like, and I know I've praised this brewery on the show before, is the 21st Amendment Down to Earth. That's a really, really nice session IPA that offers a great hop flavor, offers a 4.2, 4.3 ABV, which is really comparable to a Coors Light when you think about it.
Oh, yeah. It's got a lot more flavor than it. I never had that one specifically, but I mean, that's what you're going to get with a session IPA. You're going to get a beer that has about the same amount of alcohol content, but a lot more flavor than just pee.
That is true. It does come with a few more calories, though.
Well, nah.
But who cares about that? Who's worried about that these days?
Not I. We just ate Boston cream pie with stouts on the last episode.
Yeah, buddy.
That is true. That is true. So those are just a couple of the styles of IPA. There are more, and maybe we'll get into them at a later time. Probably will. But those are some of the more common ones that you would see. So you have the West Coast, so think of the big C's. You got your Cascade, your Citra, your Chinook hops. You got the East Coast IPAs, which are going to be a little less bitter, with kind of some banana, maybe some tropical notes in them. You have your double and triple IPAs, which does not mean that the hops are doubled, but we think about the grain bill, so all of the ingredients, that go into the beer, those are doubled or tripled in terms of the overall amounts, so that you get a bigger, boozier beer that generally offers a more complex profile of flavors. And then you have your session IPAs, which are your flavorful hoppy beers that are low in ABV. So quick recap for you.
Yes.
So
pop quiz, hot shot.
Shoot the hostage. That was from Speed, Sam.
That's a speed
now
record.
see, all right, let's just clarify one thing. You guys need to understand.
No, I understand that you have not seen movies from the 80s. I
Right.
know you've seen everything in the 90s.
I've seen Speed so many times, and that is a great film. I really do like Speed. Speed 2, on the other hand, that was
Awful.
a
That's trash.
That was
wildly
awful.
flaming, wildly large flaming pile of shit.
Hot garbage.
As we cruise control to the end of this segment, now that we learned a little bit about the beers that we're drinking and about this West Coast style of IPA, we're going to turn it over to Adam first. As a reminder to everybody, we are drinking the Double Mountain Killer Lion Fresh Hop IPA out of Oregon. So, what do you think, Adam?
I didn't like it. Next.
Wow, what a shocker. What a shocker.
What I didn't like about it is, now that you're pouring the last bit of it, things seem to be a little bit more interesting at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a lot of schmutz.
Yeah, some schmutz, but that's to be expected. It is unfiltered, so they called their shot. Can't blame them for that one.
I don't think it's calling a shot. I think it's a warning.
It's more of a shot across the bow.
Yeah.
So with this beer, I kind of got my hopes up a little bit on the first sip. It was like, it's got a little bit of maltiness to it. I'll be good. And then, there it is. and then it kind of stuck around, and I still got that hop residue in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not great. However, if I'm looking at it in the silo of the IPAs, it's not the worst one I've ever had. Sam, we'll go to the other side of the spectrum.
So on the Sam spectrum of IPAs, I took the crowd pleaser and I put that in, the higher end, the upper echelon of the spectrum. This one I'm actually going to put on the other side, on the lower end.
Whoa!
And look, at the end of the day, I just didn't like this beer as much. It had a weird malty aftertaste.
So you didn't like the malty aftertaste.
Right.
I didn't like the hop aftertaste.
I love the hop aftertaste. I think that when those perfectly balanced hop flavors just sit in the back of your mouth and give you a nice, clean, refreshing finish, I think that's perfect. Here, it was like they were fighting on the back end of this beer, and the malt was winning, most of the time.
There's no fighting in the war room.
And this was like the lion versus the Easter bunny. This was like the lion and the Easter bunny that was fighting in the back of my throat.
In the back of the throat.
Which is a very weird analogy, but it kind of was, because there was the lion and he was the malt, and there was the bunny and he was the hops, and the lion was overpowering the bunny as one lion might. So, I don't know. And plus, I like Citra hops, but I don't know. What else did we say was in here? Cascade?
Mosaic.
Oh, Mosaic. I like Mosaic hops, too. I don't know. Something about this beer, it just wasn't as balanced as it should have been. It didn't leave a clean finish in my mouth. So
Steve,
wasn't my favorite.
Steve, you are the saving grace for this beer.
Yeah, sorry, beer. Don't depend on me. Yeah, I didn't really care for the bitterness on the back end. It just hangs around too long. And
It's like the weird guy at the party.
yeah, weird guy at the party hangs around too long, and then the rest of the beer is like, it's malty, but I don't find it refreshing. And if I understand when they say fresh hop IPA, it means that they used fresh leaves. Like, it's not a pellet based, it's not a pellet or a powder based IPA.
And they have that right.
But when you say fresh, I expect it to be refreshing for some reason. That's just the way it works in my head.
Okay.
And I didn't find it refreshing. I found it to be a big malty beer with a too long lingering back end. bitterness.
I was gonna say on the lingering, was it lingering on the malt side like Sam was getting, or on the bitterness like I was getting?
No, the malt doesn't bother me at all. I would actually prefer this beer if it was something else without the hops.
So if they kicked it down to like a 30 or a 40 IBU,
yeah, maybe.
it might have a better shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe if they switched up the hop profile. I mean, you see that a lot,
Well, there
too.
is that as well. Yes.
Yeah. If they took out like the high alpha citra and like tried putting something else in, yeah, that could be interesting.
I got one word for you. Fuggle.
I know it's what, but no.
Well, no, it actually would because it's got a low alpha.
It would be a low alpha, but I never really taste Fuggle. Fuggle is something you just put into a beer to say that you can call it beer.
That is correct. And it's also a really fun word to say.
Yeah.
What do you guys say? We take a break.
Take a break.
We get geared up for segment 3.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
We get up to the border. The great state of Washington is coming up next. Everybody,
Washington.
stick around. We'll be right back.
Alrighty. Welcome back, Hop Nation. We are here. One more beer. Segment 3.
That didn't rhyme.
It didn't rhyme, but it doesn't matter. Here's the point I'm getting at. So our podcast is called Hop Nation USA, right?
True.
Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
We can.
I have seen the T-shirt.
And beer has hops in it. That's why
Right.
we're Hop Nation.
Right.
But all beer doesn't have a hoppy taste to it,
That's true.
even though it's made with hops.
Right.
But today on the show, we are drinking hoppy beers. So let's get into the third one. That was a letdown. Man, where the hell was I going with that?
man?
Where did your energy go?
Where
Like-
was the close on that one?
I don't know.
That sounded like your impression of Adam introducing an IPA.
Yeah, man. At least I was up, and it's your turn to introduce
It's
the beer.
your
Yeah.
turn.
So this should be, you should be bouncing off the walls right now, being all excited for this new IPA. You got nothing, man. Come on, we
know.
gotta go. Let's go. Let's hop it up.
All right, so this is the freshest,
nah.
the freshest, the hoppiest, the ale. And this is great because this is a beer from our last stop on the West Coast at Fremont Brewery, which is going to be in the great state of Washington. And this beer is out of Seattle. Once again, Fremont Brewing, and the beer is called the Cowiche Cannon Fresh Hop Ale. So I'm hoping that's Cowiche or Cowiche.
May I see?
You can look.
You can look.
I don't know how it's pronounced, but maybe if someone from Seattle is listening, they could help to clarify.
No. It's Cowiche Canyon.
Cowiche?
It's Cowiche.
I mean, it could be.
It's not.
I mean, look, it could be a lot of things.
Perhaps it's Cowiche.
It could be Cowiche. I'm going to say Cowiche. You stick with Cowiche and say whatever you said, Cowiche?
I just said Cowiche.
Yeah.
I like Cowiche.
Okay,
All
you
right,
stick
so-
with Cowiche.
Somebody let us know how the hell that canyon out in Seattle somewhere is pronounced. So, yeah, once again, Fremont Brewing in Seattle, Washington. And let's see what we got on this guy. So it looks like the ABV on this beer is going to be 6%.
Dropping it down for a change.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, this is just a pale ale. So there's really two types. When somebody says a pale ale, you can have the India Pale Ale, the IPA, which is what we've been drinking earlier in the show, or you can have the APA, which is the American Pale Ale.
Yes.
So the American Pale Ales are generally a little bit less hoppy, sometimes not as flavorful, at least in my experience. But overall, they're still a pretty good beer. The IBUs on this guy is 70. So we're kind of right in the middle. But what's interesting is this beer is actually brewed with organic hops.
It's classy looking can.
Pesticides, no GMOs, nothing like that. These were naturally grown and all organic.
That's a classy looking can.
Yes, it is.
Very classy.
It actually looks
is-
like the green Jim Beam label.
Yeah.
Or no, the Jack Daniels.
Jack Dag.
There's a Jack Daniels green label out there.
I like it because it's actually showing this Cowiche, whatever the hell this canyon's called.
Cowiche.
And there's a giant hop just coming out of the canyon.
Well,
so.
perhaps we should take
That
it out
hop will
of...
kill us all.
Somebody put it in the microwave.
Attack of the killer hops.
Crack that bad boy open. Let's drink it.
So while I pour this, I have to ask: did you guys see the movie trailer for the new terrible B horror film Attack of the Killer Donuts?
I did not know.
Can't say that I have.
So that's a real movie.
I'm sure it is.
As you can imagine, it's about donuts that have somehow been infused with this chemical serum, and they've come to life, and they're destroying a town and attacking people and killing them.
Is it more in the style of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, where it's just donuts and like they don't have teeth?
No, they have teeth. This is kind of like Poultrygeist, is what it.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. Is it more in the style of Poultrygeist or Killer Condom, where the Killer Condom actually has teeth and bites people in the pecker?
Getting into these discussions with Steve, he's always going to outdo you in terms of movies. Like, I thought donuts, all right, yeah, that's kind of weird. Killer Condom, never even heard of that. That shit's not on Netflix.
And for me, I just assumed it was going to be childhood obesity. The long con.
Jesus, that's a long ass movie. That's like it's like Russian Ark. You just watch somebody die from diabetes. It's like Boyhood. It was filmed over 12 years.
That's what I was trying to think of, that Richard Linklater film or whatever.
Lost a leg after year 6.
All right, so let's get into this beer. We got to get back to Seattle, Washington, and away from childhood obesity.
That's fine.
So let's drink beer instead.
Well, we're not children.
That is true. Well, I don't know. If you listen to the show, you might have a differing opinion.
Yeah, in about 5 minutes, that's gonna be challenged.
So this is probably the lightest and clearest of all the IPAs that we've drank today.
And I would also say it is the most effervescent.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of a bubbly to it.
Mm-hmm. Not a ton of head retention.
No.
Mine is dissipated pretty much, but we have been going off on a couple tangents here, so maybe it just chilled out.
So on the smell, I hate to use this word, but I would give it the dank label.
It is a bit sticky and icky.
It's dank, and it's a bit tame as well, as I felt like the first one was very powerful on the nose. The Double Mountain Killer Lion was, that one had backed off a little bit, and you could smell some of that maltiness, but this one is dank and tame.
So
you smell the hops, but that's about it, and it's not overpowering.
So honestly, I don't know. It's a little powerful for me.
Really?
Yeah.
A little too much sticky, a little too much icky.
Yeah, it's a little bit much, and I think I found the culprit.
That is.
Well, the hops used in this one, again, Citra, as with everything we've had tonight, and Simcoe is the other one. I'm not a big Simcoe hop fan.
Aha.
Okay.
But
Found the culprit.
Yeah, it smells a little bit much for me. No thanks.
Now, this beer is interesting because of all three, I would say this one has the least amount of flavor. It's somewhat bitter, but I'm not tasting any good flavor out of this entire beer. There's nothing in here that I really like.
Yeah, I don't care for it. Like I said, I already smelled like the Simcoe hop on it. Because I'm just thinking, like, I know Chinook hops I'm not a big fan of either, and Simcoe hops I'm not a big fan of, and single hop Amarillo. Those are the three kind of IPAs that really
Turn you off?
They turn me off, and this one's turning me off because I taste way more Simcoe than I do Citra. I don't get hardly any citrus notes off of this. Yeah,
I'm not getting any either. It's not really tickling my fancy or tickling my palate for that matter. It's just kind of there. It tastes. I hate to say it, but
then say it.
You know, the flavors in this beer, and although it's slightly a different profile, it's reminding me, unfortunately, of the Mother Lager. Now, it's not quite there, but it's getting down there, and the fact that it's pretty flavorless, it's bitter, and I don't really like it. It makes me really appreciate that crowd pleaser that we had in segment 1. That thing was so freaking good.
Man, that was a good one to start off with.
Yeah, wow.
Let's just talk about the crowd pleaser for a bit.
It's only gotten worse from there. Probably like this show, considering how many tangents we've run off on. Anything, Adam, from you?
There's no reason to come asking me about this beer if you guys don't like it.
Well, I mean, just go with it.
It's not great. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste. I don't like the look.
Kind of tastes like it's a little skunky almost.
Yeah, it does have a little bit of a skunk to it.
I'm wondering if it did get skunked.
I don't know. It's possible, but
I'd be willing to let Sam try another one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd give it another shot. But when you have a poorly made IPA it does have a skunky taste to it naturally. If you have the poor combination of, hops and malt, and it just doesn't mesh well together, I mean, that's just the flavor you're going to get, unfortunately. It's going to just taste like all around shit.
Yeah.
And not that I don't know if I'd say this tastes like shit, but it's not.
No, I wouldn't say it tastes like shit.
It's not an enjoyable beer. It's not something that you want to drink more than a couple sips of. It's not something that would pair nicely with really anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to think of something that would pair well with this, because I'd be just trying to think of something that cover the taste.
Yeah, it'd have to be something that's very flavorful.
Why would you go down that path?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just grab another beer?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's like, I don't think we can say like it got skunked because it's in a can. So, usually for a beer to skunk, it has to be like in a bottle and is exposed to light. This is in a can, so
obviously not happening, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most common way of skunking, so I think Sam might be right in the fact that, like, because maybe just putting it all together, it didn't come out right. And I think I'm gonna say it's the Simcoe hop doing it. That's what I'm gonna blame. It's just too earthy for me, and that's a big part of the Simcoe hop.
It is.
It's a earthy hop.
So what do you say we get away from this beer a little bit?
Yeah, I'm
we'll
willing to get away
we'll keep
from it.
drinking it, but we don't need to there's not much more to be said.
We're gonna finish it. There's no doubt about that. We're gonna finish this beer.
We do not waste on the show.
I don't believe we've ever had a beer that we haven't finished.
Oh yeah, no, we haven't done that yet.
So let us keep that streak alive.
Yeah, no, I mean, for us to not finish it, that would be admitting that it's actually worse than the Mother Lager.
And that is a low bar.
That's a low bar.
We chug Hurricane on this show.
Yeah.
We'll drink anything.
We finish Hurricanes on the show. But, I mean, you have to. That's the punishment.
So let's talk about anything else.
Okay, well, how about a little game to just distract ourselves?
I like it.
Games are fun.
So I got a brand new game for us.
Ooh.
I don't have
New
a
game.
good name for it yet.
Okay.
I just called it Beeragram.
Perfect.
Maybe we can find a better name, but
Perhaps the good people of Twitter and Instagram and other social medias can give us a good name for it.
sure, why not?
That seems like a thing to do.
Sure. Yeah. Name our segments. I don't give a hell. What I thought was kind of a fun thing to do was take the names of beers and run it through an anagram machine, and then find the most childish and juvenile phrases that I could come up with.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And I mean, considering we're doing West Coast IPAs or IPAs from the West Coast this week,
Yeah.
I just ran a bunch of IPAs through the anagram machine.
All right.
The Anagrammerator 9000. So I'll give you guys a sample.
All right.
Just this one should be easy, and you guys should be able to figure it out. So I'll give you this one.
Okay.
It's simply ho persecution.
Yeah, that's easy.
Go ahead, Sam. Tell the audience what it is.
That would be, of course, Stephen, the Hopsecutioner from Terrapin Brewing Company.
See? Simple game.
Simple.
Simple game.
Easy peasy.
I don't
peasy.
want to chug the Hurricane.
Oh, no. I don't think there's a hurricane on the line for this one.
No, this isn't a hurricane game.
No. Because otherwise I would have prepared.
This is a testing phase game.
I assume that all games are Hurricane games.
You can go ahead and drink one.
You
I
can
don't
assume
mind.
So I like to win, just in the event that I may have to chug a Hurricane if I lose. You never know. You never know.
Okay, then.
Okay, then. Here's a more complex one. Rattle a weed hoe.
Rattle a weed hoe.
Rattle a weed hoe. You get up to a weed hoe, you give her a good rattle. Shake her by the arms. Quit being a weed hoe.
I have no idea.
How the hell are we even supposed to figure this out?
With your brains.
Rattle a weed hoe. I'd almost have to see that written down
Can
to
you at least give me
really
the
try
brew-
to figure it out.
Can you give me the brewery?
I can give you the brewery.
What is the
Yeah,
brewery?
that would be helpful.
Bells.
Rattle the weed
Two-hearted IPA or two-hearted.
Yeah, you got it.
There you go.
Oh my god. Rattle a weed hoe.
Weed hoe.
Probably this is probably the most impossible game. But
I was gonna say we needed the brewery.
all
We need a
right.
hint.
All right. So let's go
This
on.
segment needs a hint of class.
No, there's no class in this segment.
Pinky's down on this one.
So super crap. I flung it.
What are we drinking?
No. I'm pretty sure Cowiche Canyon does not anagram into super crap. I flung it.
Super crap, I flung it. God,
What's the brewery?
Ballast Point.
It's one of the Sculpins.
Okay, you're getting there.
Super crap. Pineapple Sculpin?
No,
I have no idea. What is it?
it's the grapefruit Sculpin.
Oh, all right
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
What is next? What is next? I need to get this one so I know that Sam will lose
I was gonna say
in a
I'm not-
competition that
I
we're
don't
not
think I'm very
actually
good at this.
having.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one for you, Adam. You might get it or not. I beer or I dwarf pea?
Dwarf pea.
I beer or I dwarf pea?
All right, give me the brewery on this one.
21st Amendment.
21st Amendment.
See?
Sam's already
Sam's
got
on the
this.
jazz, because,
Yeah, brew free or die.
yep.
All right then.
Brew free or die IPA.
See,
But-
once I get the brewery, then I can just think of like what the IPA is. but-
Ah, that's the well. He cares about IPAs.
Well, yeah,
I know-
I
yeah,
know,
I
I know
understand.
them all, but like to
The-
think about that fucking phrase in the big realm of IPAs, it's almost impossible to get,
Yeah. So I mean,
especially without having it written down in front of me.
so yeah, maybe this isn't suited to you, Adam. But
I
maybe in a
agree.
future segment, when we're not doing specific IPAs.
Right. No, I'm good with that. What else we got?
The
All right, so-
Anagram 9000 does have a dirty bird in mind, which I do like.
Totally does. All right, so our last one, and I don't expect you guys to get it at all, is yodeling poopy hoe tugs man on curb.
Yodeling poopy hoe.
Yeah.
Yodeling poop. How in the world did we ever figure this out? This is unbelievable. This is a weird game.
You gotta give us
It's
the
funny
brewery.
though.
Okay, so the brewery is Dewclaw. See, 90% of the time, if it's going to have the word hop in it, I'm probably going to use the word hoe.
So what was the anagram again?
The anagram is yodeling poopy hoe tugs man on curb.
I have no idea.
You guys are never going to get this one.
No.
I'm just trying to think of like some Dewclaw IPAs.
Well, I mean, they have a whole bunch, and being that this one is so long, you're probably never going to get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to think if I've ever had it. I mean, I've had a lot of beers.
Oh, no,
from
you've
them.
totally had the beer.
Oh, have I?
You've totally had the beer.
Is it just the name, or is like the style of the beer in there too? Is it?
No, the style, well, I
Well,
mean,
obviously it's an IPA is the style,
it's-
but
yeah, the style is part of the name. You just want me to give it to you?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so this is the Hop Continuum Blood Orange Gypsy. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that one.
Yeah, that's why there's so much in there.
No, I'm gonna get that one.
Hop Continuum Blood Orange Gypsy. That beer is not very good.
It's not great. I kind of like it, but I'm not a big fan of Blood Orange IPAs for some reason.
No, I am not.
They
I don't
never
like
work
blood
for me
orange.
right there.
Orange. I kind of like oh god, I'm drawing a freaking blank on this one now too. What's the Flying Dog one? The Blood Orange IPA from Flying Dog.
Bloodline. Also
that-
not one of my favorites, so it's not in my mind.
See, that's one of the ones that I like, the Bloodline Orange from Flying Dog, and I've actually had that one on Nitro at the corner, which you don't see a lot of IPAs on Nitro, but
No.
it really added a complex creaminess to the blood orange flavor, but yet it was still hoppy and light.
Huh.
I don't know, it was a pretty damn good mix, if I do say so myself, even though I didn't make it.
That's not one of my favorites, but the fact that it was on Nitro, I'd definitely be willing to try it to see what that is.
It altered the flavor a lot. It tasted like a totally different beer that way.
Yeah, cool. I wish I could alter the flavor of this beer.
Yeah, this one is
Yeah.
not great. Like I said earlier, I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste.
Yeah.
I don't like your jerk off face. I don't like your jerk off name.
Now, hold on a second. We don't know anything about this Fremont brewery from Seattle, Washington, and their Cowiche Canyon.
Cowiche.
Cowiche, Khaleesi.
Cowiche, yeah.
Isn't that from a movie?
What?
I don't like your jerk off name. I don't like your jerk off face.
Yeah, it's a Big Lebowski.
I don't know. There's really not much left to say about this beer, though. I mean, everything that we said in segment or at the beginning of the segment is true. It still holds true, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
So in that case, what do you say we put them on the podium?
I think that sounds like a
We can go to that pretty
fantastic
quickly.
idea.
And I think it's going to be fairly easy to go through it. So
Yeah.
Let's make this one short and sweet.
Yeah,
Steve,
I feel like we're all going to have the same podium on this one.
I think so, yeah.
Steve, what do you got?
Okay, so obviously bronze is going to the Fremont, the Cowiche, yeah.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Yeah, it has that big Simcoe flavor, and Simcoe is an earthy hop, and I think that earthiness just kind of lends to the skunkness of it. And I'm not saying this beer is skunked, but it has that skunkiness to it because it's just I don't know, things didn't come together on this one. Sorry, dog, it's gonna have to be a pass. Silver, I'm gonna go with the Double Mountain Killer Lion. I like it, and I like parts of it. I just would maybe wish for a different hop profile on it. The Citra hops don't mix well with how malty this beer is. Like at 7.8%, you're pushing double IPA status. And again, we've talked earlier about how when you get up into there, maybe you want to dial back on the hop flavor to make things, balance out a little better. And so, I kind of like it. I would drink it again if it was around. I didn't have much choice. But, it's okay. So, gold is going to go to the Wildcard Crowd Pleaser Juicy IPA. Boy, oh boy, this is a really good IPA. I like it a lot. I really do. And the fact that it's like a 7% boozy boy.
Boozy boy.
It's a boozy boy. It's really good. And it's just smooth, and it's something that I could see taken to a tailgate. You can pair with pretty much any bit of food that you could think of. It's flavorful. It's got a great aroma. It's a really good beer.
Sam, what do you got going on here? What is your bronze? What is your silver? What is your gold?
Yeah, as the IPA hop head of the bunch here, the hop king, as sometimes I like to call myself. My podium is going to be the exact same way. We're going to go Skunk Lion.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you right there. Because all I can imagine you is walking into the house and just triumphantly yelling, "The Hop King is here."
The Hop King is home.
Where is his hop crown?
I'll have the Hop King.
And his hop scepter.
It's funny. That'd be a nice scepter, too. You have a giant golden hop right on the top.
There you go.
To the surprise of no one, my podium is going to be exactly like Steve's. We're going Skunk Lion Penguin, right? So we have the Fremont Cowiche Canyon, and that beer was not good. It tasted skunk. The Simcoe hops didn't have a great flavor to them. I don't know. I want to know the full hop profile because the Citra hops weren't coming through, and this just wasn't a great drinking experience for me. It wasn't a lot of flavor, and I don't want to drink it again. So we'll go with the skunk last. And in the silver position, we'll go with the Lion, the Killer Lion Fresh Hop IPA. Now, the Lion considers himself the king of the jungle. I consider myself the hop king, and only one of us can be right on this one. And the Lion is not the king of the jungle or the king of the podium in terms of hoppiness here, because this beer was decent, but I didn't really like the finish. It didn't have enough of those hop flavors that I was looking for, and it tasted a little too malty. Now, that being said, the crowd pleaser from Wildcard Brewery. Now, I said that this was the Penguin, so I think of this beer has nothing to do with the Penguin. The Penguin hasn't been mentioned on this show. But when you think of an Emperor Penguin, you really think of the Penguin that's going to rule over, the rest of the penguins. They're the kings, right? They're the true kings.
Well, they're the
emperors.
the best.
Huh?
They're the emperor.
Right, exactly. They're the emperors. They're the ones that lay down the law. And that's what this beer reminds me of, right? It's a great beer. It's a juicy IPA. It overshadows all of these other beers. And this is a beer that I would want to drink again and again and again, just as the Emperor Penguin would.
Your brain goes to some weird-ass places when you don't eat. You know that?
Yes, and I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to you now, but in a couple days it will.
A couple days it'll hit you.
It's just gonna go racing through my brain for the next 3 days,
right?
And then
because
suddenly it'll just the light will go off. Like, oh, I totally get what Sam was talking about.
Yeah, because when I made that comment, I saw you guys scouring the can to see where did he get Penguin from? But it's really just.
It's an idea.
Yeah, there's definitely no penguin on the can. It's more of a guy in a Da Vinci-esque wingsuit flying over the crowd.
See, I was thinking
penguins don't even fly.
I was thinking Mothman.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be Mothman, it could be Batman.
Right, but if it was Mothman, they should be from West Virginia, not California.
Exactly. That's why I was thinking it's more of just kind of a goofy Da Vinci-esque, old school just crappy wingsuit made out of wood slats and
Old bed sheets.
Exactly.
Well, regardless of what it is, if it's Batman or if it's an Emperor Penguin, it was amazing. And I would drink this beer anytime I could get my hands on it. So, if you happen to have a subscription to Tavour, put this on your list. The Crowd Pleaser Juicy IPA from Wildcard. It's excellent, and you will love it. You will love it. It is amazing.
Adam, wrapping up with you.
It's going the same way.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to explain any further. Cowiche, terrible. Double Mountain, not good. Crowd Pleaser, not bad.
Which, I mean, on a weighted scale, so.
Yeah, that was short and sweet.
Yeah.
If I had to go with the 3, it would be the Crowd Pleaser. If this was the only beer in the cooler, I would drink another one. Mm-hmm. Would I look forward to, like, would I pick up a 6-pack of this again? Not necessarily. But I wouldn't turn my nose up at it.
So, here's a way to think about it. If you had to stock your beer fridge,
I would be willing to investigate this as part of the IPA category. But unfortunately, there's other IPAs out there that I actually do like the Dirt Wolf, like we talked about earlier.
True.
But I would be willing to put this one in the conversation.
Yeah. I guess why I was thinking, like, in your beer fridge, it's so other people, it's something that you would drink yourself, but also give to other people.
Right. If I had to have an IPA in the fridge for other people, I would definitely put this in there.
Okay.
I certainly would. I would back that up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
That puts it in perspective.
All right, dude, that was a great episode. There's, I love exploring the world of IPAs, and sometimes, you find some that are just fantastic that you want to drink again and again, and other times you find them ones that are or you don't like. But that's the spectrum. That is where we're at nowadays with IPAs. The style has become so varied that you really just have to jump in and find what you like. And even, someone like Adam, like you mentioned, he can find beers that he likes in the style. So that gives hope to pretty much anybody. If Adam can do it, so can you.
Well, I guess if you're out there and you're looking for more IPA suggestions, you can always follow us on social media. And you can do that by searching Hop Nation USA on your favorite social media platform, as long as those platforms are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are the ones we go on.
And I will throw a note out there on this episode in particular that our Instagram account is a little IPA heavy most of the time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You can tell who runs that side of the operation.
You can figure out who runs which. Basically, if you want to get IPA suggestions, go on the Instagram and hit up Sam. And if you want
Good beer.
I was going to say other suggestions, you can go on Twitter, and I'm usually on there, and Adam can be directed to use it.
That is true. That is true. And I have.
And you have. You do use it. I'm just saying, like, it's like a 98% to 2%. But you can find us on there. And if you want to listen to new episodes of the Hop Nation USA podcast, you can search us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and Google Music Play. And subscribe to any of those and leave us a review. And that helps our show grow. You want to do 5 stars because that's what helps us grow. 1 star does not help us grow. That is bad. Just want to explain that rating system to people. It's 5 stars that are good.
And this is a 5-star show. I've said it before.
It is a 5-star show.
And I'll say it again.
Yeah.
5-star show.
Absolutely. And don't forget to visit hopnationusa.com because we have a bunch of reviews and features and all of our recipes on there, as well as every episode of the podcast. But you're going to be able to find content that you can't get on the show just by itself.
Exclusive content.
Free exclusive content.
That's the best combination of words I've heard today.
That's right. And if you have anything else you want to email us about, just email us at hopnationusa@gmail.com.
Another one in the books.
A fine episode, gentlemen.
A 5-star episode.
5 stars. They're all 5 stars.
They are all 5-star episodes.
All 5 stars. So, yeah, I guess that's it. That was a great episode. The beers were great to try. Not all great to drink, but what the hell? We'll try some more next week and we'll review them just like we have been. And
you have to drink things that aren't so great to truly appreciate the things that are.
That's very true.
That's life advice there.
That's right.
And with that, we'll turn it over to the rest of the evening, the rest of your evening. Go out, try a new beer, and enjoy. We'll see you next week.